Hello indulgers, Assalamualaikum, welcome back to the channel. Today is not our typical recipe video. I thought it would be nice to share what I'm doing in the kitchen in order to prepare for the month of Ramadan. As far as food prep goes, we keep it pretty simple considering freezer space and storage and all those factors. But for the most part, I like to make things that I know we use on the regular, things that take time. For example, this ginger paste. So we washed and peeled about a kilo of ginger and added it to a food processor alongside some oil. Just a little bit of oil to help it come together. You want to roughly chop this ginger so that it's a coarse paste. Once you've achieved your desired consistency, you can just add your ginger into a clean glass jar, pack it down, and then top it up with some oil. This is going to extend its shelf life and keep it fresh for much longer. I like to do the same thing with garlic. Here I have a whole bag of garlic which I bought from my local groceries. It is already peeled and very convenient. Just give it a wash and add it to your food processor with some oil as well. It is far better to make these at home than to buy minced garlic or minced ginger. By making these pastes yourself, you get to control all the ingredients, so no extra additives or preservatives, just the natural good stuff. Again, package the garlic just as you did with the ginger in a clean glass container. I ended up making a lot more garlic paste than my container could handle. So for this jar, I'm going to use it maybe for the next 2 days before topping it up with oil. Everything else goes into the fridge for later use. Up next we have sambusa. Now sambusa is one of our staple Ramadan snacks, and throughout the year I don't even think about it, but when it comes to Ramadan it's the first thing I want to prepare. It's best done in a group setting, all sitting down together and folding non-stop until they are complete. It's one of those things you don't want to be doing during the month of Ramadan. It takes up a lot of time which you could be spending on more important things. So to make things easier, we made the filling the night before and kept it refrigerated. So the next morning it was easy to get straight into it and do all the folding. This Ramadan, one of my goals is to find myself spending less time in the kitchen. So I'm not joking with my food prep. And knowing that I can pull these sambusas out of the freezer and serve them hot and crispy right before iftar makes all the pre-Ramadan prep worthwhile. So once we got through folding our sambusa, I placed them onto some trays and froze them individually. And then after that I went on to pack them into Ziploc bags so that they didn't stick to one another. This makes it so easy and convenient to remove them as needed. To maximize on freezer space, lay your sambusas as flat as possible. Store the sambusa into the freezer and add them straight into the hot oil. There's no need to defrost them before frying. Fry them immediately for a very crispy result. What are some of the Ramadan snacks that you like to make in advance? Let me know below. I'd love to know what you guys are also making in your kitchens. Another paste that I love to have handy in my kitchen during the month of Ramadan is my homemade chili paste. I use this in my peri-peri chicken recipe as well as in an upcoming recipe that will be up on your screens this Ramadan, inshallah. Having this chili paste stored in your fridge during the month of Ramadan is a time saver. All you need to do is pull it out when it's convenient, use it in your meals and keep it going. I will leave the recipe for this chili paste somewhere on the screen and of course in the description bar below. Lately I've been trying to do a little bit better when it comes to composting, and it occurred to me that I could repurpose a lot of my vegetable peels and make some sort of dehydrated vegetable powder, something I can add to my soups and stews, especially during the month where we consume a lot more soups, chicken noodle soup, lentil soup and the rest. So here I am cutting up my peels. We have some carrot peels, some offcuts of onion, chili, celery and various peppers. Looking back, I've noticed that I've chopped these vegetables far too finely for my dehydrator. It would have been better if they were a lot more chunkier so that they wouldn't pass through the holes of my dehydrator. So I spread out my vegetables on the trays, starting with the bottom and working my way up to the top. And once they were all stacked nicely, I turned on the machine. The next morning we had lovely crisp vegetables, and I was so surprised that they still maintained their color and flavor. This was smelling really good, especially the onions. The onions in there took over the kitchen and it smelled so inviting. I added all of my dehydrated vegetables into my blender and blitzed away until I had a coarse powder. I wanted to be able to see the vegetables in this powder so that when I do add them into soups, for example, I can identify them. If you don't have access to a dehydrator, you can use a standard oven. Just keep the temperature below 30 degrees Celsius until your vegetables are dehydrated. Overall, I was so pleased with the outcome. I will definitely be making this one again. And so next I decided to make some herb seasoned salt, and into my blender I'm adding some dry herbs such as parsley, coriander, oregano, thyme, bit of rosemary and a bay leaf. Definitely adding a dash of this and a dash of that. I'm not too fussed about taking measurements with this one. I'm just adding these herbs according to what I like the most. Once I've added the last bit of my herbs, I went ahead and added some whole peppercorns. And lastly, some coarse sea salt. I used about 500 grams, that's almost 2 cups worth. So this herb salt is not going to be used heavily, it's going to be used to season meat lightly, to add more depth of flavor to dishes, instead of your regular salt. After adding my remaining herbs, that's the bay leaf and the rosemary, I turned on my blender and within moments it all came together. Again, store in an airtight container. I've just repurposed an allspice jar, which does the job. In anticipating Ramadan and all the meal prepping that I was going to be doing, I convinced myself that I needed a labeler. So here is my unboxing. It's very brief, but I got this from Amazon, Australia of course, but I'm sure it's available on the global Amazon, the Amazon USA and the rest. It was affordable and I'm pleasantly surprised and pleased with how it works. I put it to the test by downloading the app and going on to print the labels for the ginger paste and chili paste and other things that I made during the week. And since I've been looking for reasons to label everything and anything in the house, it's been good fun. In this household, black-eyed beans and Ramadan go hand in hand. We use this to make so many delicacies such as KOSE, moi moi or alale, and of course wake itself. To prep the black-eyed peas for peeling, you're just going to add them into a large bowl and top that up with water. Once the water is in there, just set it aside and forget about it. Give it some time to soak and just get on with your other tasks. In the meantime, I'm going to sort out my spice tin. This is one that I picked up from an Indian grocery store. If you live in Ghana, I believe you can find these at Malcolm stores. Good luck in your search, and if you know where else you can get them, let us know in the comments section below. So this spice tin is one that I like to keep on the bench top, right next to my stove. It consists of the spices that I use more frequently, so it's just easy to grab and have quick access to. The arrival of Ramadan is like welcoming a visitor into your home, so I feel like I'm more inclined to make sure everything is spick and spam in the kitchen and all my loose ends are tied and tidy. Let me know if you feel the same way. Do you also do a deep clean before Ramadan arrives? Now that our tin is nice and tidy, I'm just going to wipe it down one more time with some paper towel just to make sure there's no excess moisture. If we have any excess moisture in this tin, there's an increase in the likelihood of our spices clumping up. Aside salt, my most frequently used spices comprise of chili flakes, black pepper, chili powder, cumin powder and garam masala, as well as curry powder. Now that our black-eyed beans have been soaking for quite a bit, I'm going to add it to my mortar and pestle a little at a time and pound away until the shaft starts to separate. If you're looking for a more easy way to do this, you can do this in your blender under the pulse setting. Just put a bit of water with the beans and press pulse and stop, pulse and stop, and pulse and stop until you can noticeably see the shaft removed from the bean. Well, there's something therapeutic about doing it the traditional way. It takes a lot longer, but I just enjoy it. It makes me feel like I am back home in Kumasi, out back in my kitchen. Pour your pounded black-eyed beans into a large bowl and keep doing this until you fill it up, and proceed to pour water into your bowl until the beans are completely submerged. Next, you want to put your hands into the beans in a scrubbing motion and continue to rub your palms together. It's going to quickly resemble soapy water, as if you are washing your clothes. You want to maintain this process until the top surface of the water fills up with the shaft. Once the shaft has settled onto the surface of the water, pour out the water, and along with the water will be the majority of the shaft. Keep repeating this process of adding water to your beans and rubbing it between the palm of your hands until all the shaft is removed. If you don't mind having a bit of shaft in there, that's completely fine. It's additional fiber and will not do you any harm. In some cultures, meals like KOSE is prepared with the entire bean intact, shaft included, and nothing is lost. Feel free to do it according to your own preference. But for the purpose of what I want to do with my beans, I have taken the time to remove all the shaft. It was definitely time consuming, but at the end of the day, I mean, the outcome really makes it worthwhile. Once I was satisfied that my shaft was completely removed and I was left with my clear beans, I went ahead to add them to some Ziploc bags, and again, these are going into the freezer. Nobody has time to clean beans every single day during the month of Ramadan, and I find that when these beans are frozen and thawed, they tend to pass through the blender much easier and you get a final result. Do try it and let me know what your experience is. Just to make it easier to fit it into my freezer, I'm going to flatten out these beans and freeze them onto trays. And the shaft does not have to go to waste. I like to sprinkle mine in the garden. If it grew from the earth, it is usually good for the earth. So hopefully this does something to improve the quality of our soil. If you're enjoying this video up until this point, please leave a comment and don't forget to like and of course subscribe. At this point, we're already well acquainted. I would love to have you here as a permanent indulger. One thing we use quite a bit during Ramadan is our food flasks. We've had a few in this house for years. Some of them been here longer than 10 to 12 years. And I thought it was time to buy a few more and allow the old ones to retire. So I got these online at a website here in Australia called Catch of the Day. India is known to produce fantastic stainless steel and also really great flasks. So really happy with the quality. I ordered a number of sizes. The largest was 7.5 litres. Then we had the medium sizes, which were 5 litres each, and the smaller one, which was 3.5 litres. These flasks are amazing at conducting heat, which is perfect for time management during Ramadan. Cook your meals nice and early, well before iftar. Add some hot water into your flask and allow it to sit for about 20 minutes. This allows your food to remain warmer for longer, giving you time to prioritize the more important things during the holy month. If you have some tips that help you navigate Ramadan, let us know in the comment section so that we can learn from one another. May this Ramadan be our best Ramadan yet. I pray that we all come out of